This is the Secure CyberConnect podcast with Jay Adamson and Warren Atkinson, where we're joined by information and cybersecurity technology and talent acquisition professionals who share their journeys, unique perspectives, and offer advice and guidance. Our topics on this episode will be, is the SOC dead? The Modern Security Operations Centre, MSSPs, and founders' stories. Today we're delighted to be joined by David Taylor. As the founder and managing director of Aruga Cyber, David is passionate about leveraging cutting-edge AI, automation, coupled with expert human insights to redefine industry standards across proactive, real-time cyber protection. David began his career within the British military, where he served for over 10 years managing communications alongside IT and cybersecurity on board the nation's nuclear submarines. After transitioning from the military, David spent the last 12 years focused on building and leading various security teams across multiple sectors. With experience in networking, infrastructure support, and cybersecurity engineering, his deep expertise spans the design and implementation of security operations centres for local governments, internal corporate teams, and managed service providers in delivering robust, scalable security solutions that protect organisations at every level. David, welcome to the Secure CyberConnect podcast, and thank you for joining us today.
Hi guys, thank you very much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Jay and myself, I'm really looking forward to today's session. So thank you for joining us. David, could you give us a high-level overview of some of the topics and themes that we're going to be discussing today?
Yeah, so really going to be discussing kind of my journey. So how does somebody go from being a 16-year-old that joins the military to then being the founder and managing director of a cybersecurity startup? And then everything in between, really. Also security operations, that's our bread and butter. It's a very fast-paced environment, so I'm going to give some overview on kind of where security operations is going, why it needs to change, how it needs to change, and then hopefully give some insight into how we're doing that at Aruga.
I can't wait to unpack all of that. And could you share with the audience something you're either proud of, excited about, or perhaps want to shine a light upon that isn't on your LinkedIn?
So LinkedIn's mainly work focused, I suppose, but probably something that I'm proud of is really the amount of stuff that's happened in such a short space of time. So really since COVID, it seems like I've crammed what a normal person would do over 20 years into 4 years. So I've had 3 kids, we've renovated a house, I've moved jobs, I've been out, got investment, started Aruga, onboarded our first customers, survived year 1. So not really had any chance to grab a breath, but I suppose it's all good, exciting stuff, and long may it continue.
Is that 3 kids in 4 years, David?
Yeah, 3 boys.
You have been busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, in terms of kicking off the podcast, we always start with a bit of an icebreaker and ask our guests if you're able to describe maybe a particular moment or challenge that you faced in your career that shaped your views on cyber.
Something that shaped my view on cyber is, I've worked in cybersecurity for a long time now. Probably what shaped my views on it is the different industries that I've been in. So every industry is kind of different. Working with service providers definitely was an eye-opener because you're working with lots of different customers. They've all got different unique needs. They're all using different technology. And how you deal with that, it can be quite difficult. So I've dealt with some serious cybersecurity attacks. So I've dealt with major breaches, some of which potentially could have been in the news, which would have been obviously very, very bad. And it's how you deal with that. So it's all the things from working over the weekend, trying to get customers back up online when you're speaking to the customers like they're in an absolute state of panic. When you're on a call with them, like they're just completely all over the place, and it's how do you calm them down? How do you get structure to what you're trying to do? And then once you've done that, once you've got them back online, it's root cause analysis. So what actually happened? Why did it happen? What do we need to do next? Like there's a whole massive piece of work that goes alongside it. So it's very, very varied. So I think probably working with as many different industries and different types of customers really shape the view of cybersecurity and give me an insight into how everybody is completely different.
Absolutely. And we always ask, again, our guests from time to time, if they might be kind enough to share maybe a mistake that they've made in their career.
Which one?
Narrow it down to just the one. And what do you learn from that?
So probably the biggest one that definitely jumps out at me is, it could have been cybersecurity related, I suppose, if you think of the CIA triad with the confidentiality, integrity, availability. I was the IT manager for a construction company many years ago now. And this was back in the day before things were in the cloud and hosted in SharePoint online and all of that kind of stuff. And they had multiple offices. and they had physical file servers that would replicate all the data across those offices so everybody could work and access the same thing. And this used a thing called DFS, so distributed file system, where you had to create namespaces and then links to all the files and everything. And I was rushing around one day and I went in to delete one file, and instead I deleted the whole namespace. So like hundreds and hundreds of files and folders are completely gone. Luckily, this was at the end of the day, so nobody really noticed, but I tried to restore it from backup. That failed. So I had to sit there literally all night going through every single file, manually recreating the link, physically making it sync round so that when everybody came in the morning, they could all work. Luckily, I got it done, and I don't think anybody actually even knows that story. I don't know if I've ever told anybody. So, yeah, if you're listening, that's what happened.
Appreciate you sharing there, David. Now, taking it back to the beginning, what first drew you to tech and cyber, and how did that pathway lead to the Royal Navy?
So, I always wanted to join the military, right back in primary school, really. So, my dad was in the military, is probably part of it. Although I was good at school, like I got really good grades and stuff like that, I was never, ever interested in going to university. I never, ever wanted to carry on studying. As soon as I left school, that was it. I just wanted to be out there. I wanted to be doing stuff, and I wanted it to be exciting stuff. So the Royal Navy was it for me. The reason why I became a submariner is probably for the challenge. I think when I went into the careers office at 15, 16, and I saw all the different jobs that were available, and I was sat there going through the brochure, I didn't even really want to be a submariner if I think about it, because it looked horrible. But the reason why I did it was because I thought nobody's done that. Like everybody knows someone who's been on a ship or who's been in the army and done that kind of stuff. I thought nobody's ever done that, so let's give that a go. I suppose for the challenge, but it was great. So I did 10 years on board the nuclear submarines, going out on deterrent patrols, so with nuclear missiles on, just hiding, ready to launch if required, all that kind of stuff. And then when I left, I kind of wanted to carry on with that. So doing IT and cybersecurity was kind of my bread and butter. It's what I'd done in the Navy. I've always been quite a technical person, so I just wanted to carry on with that. So I just did a lot of self-study. Even though you get the experience in the military, you don't necessarily get the certifications. So when I was going out to try and get jobs, that's exactly the feedback I got. So it was a lot of self-study, getting those certifications, and then just took it from there, really. I've worked in networking, IT infrastructure, cybersecurity now, obviously. So yeah, I had quite a varied career.
A really interesting one. And how do you think that experience managing cyber and communications aboard a nuclear submarine prepared you for the high pressure roles in the cybersecurity sector?
I don't think there ever could be an environment that's as high pressure as being on board the nuclear submarine, like completely isolated, out in the middle of the ocean somewhere. Nobody knows where you are. You're in complete radio silence. Like if anything went wrong on that boat and we were to go down, no one would even know that anything had happened to us until we were due to come back months later. So there's definitely that. To go along with that, there's lots of training. Like the teamwork is phenomenal on there. I always say to people, like, it was such a weird environment because you would nowhere ever in life would that group of blokes, because it was only males that were allowed in the submarine service when I was in. There was no way on earth those group of men would ever mingle together outside of the Navy. So you're mingling with people that you would never normally sit with. Some people get on, some people don't get on. But then as soon as something goes wrong on that boat and you have to snap together, it's like watching poetry, I think, really. Like everybody just gets in the zone and just gets stuff done. So there's obviously that. There's a lot of high pressure. There's a lot of systems on board a submarine. So not only do you need to know your job. So for me, that was like the comms and the IT and cyber and stuff like that. But you need to know how the different systems work. Like how does the high pressure air system work? How does the oil system work? If there was all of a sudden a leak and there was oil spraying out somewhere, how would I isolate that before it turns into a fire and the boat goes down? Obviously, tying it into cyber, it's very, very sensitive, the stuff you're doing, especially as a communicator. You've got very, very high security clearance. The information you're seeing is top secret, sometimes above top secret. So all those kind of security protocols and hygiene basically about cyber, so operational security, but also your personal security and what you're sharing, who you're sharing it with. But I think adaptability as well, like anything can happen, and it does happen at the drop of a hat. Like when you least expect it, all of a sudden the worst thing in the world could be happening to you, and you've just got to get on with it and get out of the situation. So I think all of that kind of ties in nicely with cybersecurity.
And do you think a lot of that success early in your career was building up that muscle memory and then practicing a routine and taking that into cyber?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, you spend a lot of time training. I mean, even to become a submariner, when I was doing it, I joined the Navy at 16. I don't even think I went to sea until well over a year after. Like all that time is just constantly training. So you do your basic training, which everybody in the military, in the Navy does. After you do that, you then go on and do like your trade training. So for me, that was all the communications and the IT and all that kind of stuff. And you get hammered with that. Then once you've done that, you then move into your submariner training. So at any of these stages, you could fail and have to do something else, or they might say, sorry, this isn't for you. So that's very, very high pressure, and you're constantly learning, and it's very technical stuff. So yeah, I think that, and then whenever you're going out on any kind of operation, so say if you're going away and it's a planned trip, I don't know, for 4 months or whatever, before you even do that, you'll go away for a month before where you just get absolutely hammered by the training team. So constant simulated fires, constant simulated floods, constantly simulating going to war, so that when you are actually out on operations and you're completely isolated, if anything goes wrong, you're ready for it. It's not as if you can just phone the fire brigade when you're meters down in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean somewhere. If there's a fire, you need to get it put out and you need to work on it yourself. There's nobody else to rely on apart from the guys that are on board. So yeah, it's very high pressure.
No, certainly understand that. And what mindset or discipline from your military background do you feel still shapes how you lead teams and build strategies today then?
So I think tying it to the military is probably mission focused. So that's absolutely what we're doing at Aruga. We know exactly what we want to do. We know what the job is, and we just get it done. We don't have all of that extra stuff that just you're doing stuff for the sake of doing things. I think in terms of managing a team in the military, I've had, and in civilian life really, I suppose I've had good managers or bosses and I've had bad ones. So I always try to, at Aruga, with the stuff we've got now or anywhere else where I've been in a senior role, I always try and manage people as I would want to be managed. These, like, you get the most out of people, I believe, from just being nice to them. Like, they've got a job to do, they get the job done. Why do you need to be on them all the time? You don't need to be micromanaging people. If they want some time off to go and do something, then fine. Because then when you need something, they'll absolutely do it for you. And then I think all of that kind, adaptability, teamwork, all of that stuff ties in nicely with what I've done in my career. But then also, as a business owner now, you absolutely need all of that stuff.
Absolutely. No, it's fascinating listening to this, David. I always think deep sea service is the same as space.
So I was saying that to someone the other day, because I would say it's probably worse, because think of those astronauts that went to space a few weeks ago, planning a short trip, ended up stuck up there for months. But at least they can phone home, they can video call the families, they can speak, they're on doing interviews on telly. Whereas when you're on a submarine, especially on the Trident ones, so the ones with the nuclear missiles on, when you go away, you're gone. You can't speak to anybody. Your family can send you a few words a week. That's literally it. If anything bad happens at home, they won't tell you about it, because obviously you don't come back for anything. It's completely mission first. So they don't want to tell you any bad news, because obviously that will send you a bit mad. Those messages that your family send you, they get vetted by 4, 5, 6 people before you even get it, checking there's no codes in there, making sure there's no hidden bad news in there, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would say it's probably worse than going to space, and it definitely doesn't pay as good.
Well, look, let's swing things back around into the cyber sector and talk a little bit more about the evolution of the SOC. We know one of the big debates happening at the moment within cybersecurity is the traditional SOC model dead? And historically, we're aware that security operations centers were very centralized, teams of analysts in one location, monitoring dashboards 24/7, chasing alerts from scene, and typically built around on-prem infrastructure and firewalls and manual triage and incident response with tiered structures such as level 1s and level 2s and level 3s in terms of alerts and investigations and threat hunting. It's being said that organizations that cling to the old school model without adapting are going to find themselves overwhelmed and vulnerable. So the question, I guess, is the traditional security operations center now becoming outdated? What are the signs that the old model no longer works as well as it used to? And in your view, what would define a high-performing modern SOC in terms of team structure, technology, outcomes, and so on?
Okay, so start at the beginning. So the Security Operations Center itself most certainly isn't dead. Like you said, that's the centralized hub of where you're managing all of your security operations, you're checking what's going on, and you're reacting to stuff, you're containing malicious activity and all that kind of stuff. But I think the way that a SOC is delivered is definitely outdated now. I think attacks are increasing all the time. They're increasing in number, but also in complexity. Like AI, everybody's shouting about that. We're using it in our service, but attackers are also using it. Attackers are using AI to research organizations before they attack them, like scraping the social media sites and all that kind of stuff, finding out who works there, what department they're in. They can then use that information to craft phishing emails, which are also AI generated, so they're really hard to spot. So you need to up your game within security operations to kind of balance that out. The main thing that I think it's changing now, but one of the main things that I saw within security operations and some of the ones I've worked in previously is the manual tasks. Like, you're just never going to deal with it. There's just no point doing it. Like researching, looking into every single incident as it comes in, manually looking up the indicators of compromise or tactics and techniques and all that kind of stuff is far too slow. Manual response is far too slow. Dealing with tickets. I mean, I've worked in SOCs before where you have a team of analysts, so level 1, level 2, as you said, so they've not worked in cybersecurity that long, but they're dealing with incidents, and they're only going to go for the tickets for the incidents that they know how to deal with. So they're kind of cherry picking them. It's not really any fault of their own. It's just the way it is in the Security Operations Centre. But also the lack of containment. So I always say when I'm speaking to customers or whatever, a managed SOC, you can call it MDR, managed detection and response. A lot of companies or service providers will be doing the management of the service. They'll be detecting stuff, but they're not actually responding to anything. If they find something, they will just email the customer and say, we found this, can you please do this? That's not good enough. If you're going to get hit, and I mentioned before some of those incidents that I've dealt with, they've always been Friday afternoons when it happens. You're not going to get hit at 1 o'clock on a Wednesday. It's going to be in the evening. It's going to be on a long holiday, bank holiday weekend or something like that. So you need to have those automated responses. So if you find something, contain it straight away. You can always work back. If you isolate a machine or you disable a user account and it's not the right thing to do, great, just re-enable it again. Whereas if you didn't do that and it was a cybersecurity incident, that can spiral out of control pretty quickly. Threat intelligence as well. A lot of SOCs that I've seen and that I've spun up, they just install the tools, put in the default threat intelligence. It's not tailored to the customer that they're dealing with or the customer's industry. Do you know what I mean? It's very generic. That's not going to do anything for anybody. And also the cloud security stuff, which you mentioned, like I gave the example before of when I was an IT manager a few years ago, that was all on premise and that wasn't that long ago. And that was the thing to do. Like everybody was like that now. Everybody's going to the cloud. So it gets a lot more complicated. But whilst people are in the cloud, they're also in a hybrid environment. So they've got stuff on-prem and they've got stuff in the cloud. So how do you manage that? How do you respond to that when an incident happens? So in summary, to answer the question, the Security Operations Centre isn't dead. Absolutely not. But it does need to change. It needs to be innovative and it needs to keep up to date with the latest threats and the fast pace of these threats as they come in.
In terms of Aruga, how do startups like your business have this advantage in building SOCs from the ground up and versus what we've talked about, these more legacy-driven solutions?
So I think the main thing is definitely agility or flexibility. So what we've done at Aruga is we've tried to... We want all that containment done. We want the service completely tailored to the customer and their environment and their industry. But we make sure everything we're detecting for has an outcome. So we're not missing anything. We're not manually containing stuff. It's automatically done. So there's that. I think a lot of bigger companies or service providers would absolutely love to be able to build the containment and the automation engine that we've got, but that would change the whole way of working for that company. They're not agile enough now. They're too big. They've already got all of those staff. They've got the level 1, the level 2 analysts. For them to now change and start building that in will disrupt the whole service. I think we can also, because we've set out with this mission from the start, we've got a very security first mind. Like we know Aruga was started for one thing, and that was to change the way security operations is delivered. So that is our focus, absolutely. And everything we do, I mean, we've just come out of year 1 now. We've had a successful year 1. But even in those last 12 months, if I look at where the service was when we started, it was good, but it's continuous improvement all the time. And that's because we know what needs to be done. We've got all of that industry experience, so we're on it constantly. And that also then improves the customer experience. So I often say that managed security is kind of like smoke and mirrors somewhere. Like the customers come into a service provider because they can't do it themselves. They either can't afford it or they don't have the skill set. So they don't know if they're getting a bad level of service because they've come to a provider. So, do you know what I mean? So they don't know what good looks like. We want to completely change that by being very open and transparent. And that's why we do absolutely everything in real time. So if we're not doing our job, the customer will know straight away. And we're that confident about what we're doing. We've even created like that real-time dashboards within our app that show what the SOC is doing. So if we're not doing something, we don't hide from it, the customer will definitely see it, and then obviously they'll be on my back. So I think there's that. I think it's our speed, our agility, and it's the focus as well. It's like, it's not going like getting a job in a normal security operations centre. We're a startup. It's hard and it's fast paced, but it's also fun. And I'm very lucky that the guys we've got on our team are very minded like that, if that makes sense. So they're very focused like me. They love the challenge. They love the tech. They love being innovative. So that's how we can move so fast and why we've been so successful so far.
And do you feel, obviously, organisations, startup environments such as Aruga are well positioned to support other partners and augment service offerings to offer clients potentially a custom-built solution?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we kind of something that's happened, I wouldn't say by accident, but it's happened a lot quicker than I thought it would, is we've built this platform for our security operations centre now, right? So we've got really, really good automation. We're using different elements of AI, so machine learning for behavior analytics and all that kind of stuff. We're using generative AI for the way we speak to our customers and just speed everything up. We don't need ticket systems and things like that. So what's happened now is as a startup, I didn't really want to spend a lot of money on big sales teams and marketing and all of that kind of stuff. That's important, but for a startup in a very saturated market, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to get your voice heard. So what we've done is started speaking to other providers, delivering our service to their customers. But what's happened now is our technology and our back end is actually in other security operations centres. So we've got providers who we're working with now who are going out to their customers, and now they can offer the real-time reporting, they can offer the containment activity, and that's all because of us in the back end, which is great. So that's like a new revenue stream that's kind of started. Like I said, it's not by accident, but it's happened a lot quicker than I thought it would.
Well, it seems that collaboration is becoming your competitive advantage there. That's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, that's the preferred way of working. Like we have direct customers. We work with any industry really, but for me, I really enjoy the kind of the collaborative approach, working with different people. Because what we can do now as well is as we're doing that and we're powering those other SOCs, because the service is so efficient and so interactive, we can actually train up their staff as well whilst we're doing it in security operations. So everyone who works at Aruga has done security operations for a long time. So we're very well experienced. We've worked in lots of industries. So as that partner is delivering the service to their customer, we can actually help train them up. So it's kind of win-win for everybody, really, which is great.
And what was the moment that you thought, what was the light bulb moment that made you say we need to build something better? And your vision for Aruga was born. What problems were you focused on and particularly determined to solve?
I'd love to say I was like, always had the entrepreneurial mindset and that kind of stuff, and I was like knocking out cans of Coke at school and making a profit and all that stuff, but it wasn't. I mean, I've always been a leader, I suppose. I enjoy leading teams and that kind of stuff. I think I can naturally just do that. But the moment for starting Aruga was kind of what I've alluded to before. I've worked in numerous security operations centres and I've done it in different industries. And like you said in the introduction, I've built them for local government, I've built them for other service providers, I've built them for internal teams. And it was kind of that I saw. Everybody's doing managed SOC at the moment. It's massively saturated, but everybody's doing it the same way. They're all using the same tech, but they're just turning it on. They're not like tailoring it specifically to the customer. The detection rules aren't on point. The outcomes don't align with the risk appetite of the customer. The threat intelligence isn't on point, as I mentioned before. There's no containment happening. So I really, really wanted to change that. And it was kind of just a light bulb moment, as you said. Like I was thinking about how it could be changed. And what I always do is go back to that time when I was that IT manager. And if I was that guy now consuming our service, how would I want that to look? And I've always had that in mind when I build it. So that's why everything's in real time. We deliver everything through Microsoft Teams. We've got our own app, which shows all of the reporting dashboards. It's very interactive because we want the customers to have the best experience possible. So it was kind of at that moment when I was working somewhere else and I was building out the security function there, I was just like, why am I working such long hours and trying to get these ideas into other people's brains and like try and talk a board through what my ideas are and how it should work? And it just wasn't enjoying it. So I just thought, why not? Why not just give it a go? Why can't I do it? So yeah, that's kind of where it started. It was the world's fastest journey, I think, from having an idea to then speaking to people about it, getting feedback. Everyone was like, yeah, this is a really, really good idea, to then having investors interested, which I didn't actively go out looking for investment. It kind of through word of mouth, people were talking about what I wanted to do as I was networking with people and getting feedback and stuff, and the investors kind of just appeared. And then that's where it happened, really. So bit of a whirlwind, but that was it. So we're here now, and we're doing a really good job, yeah.
And here we are. Absolutely. And as a startup founder, how do you keep the team focused in terms of innovation whilst, as you touched on earlier, whilst at the same time competing in what is a very crowded market?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. And I think there's a part of it is obviously because of Aruga and the direction that we're going in, and we've got our mission. Everybody who works at Aruga knows what that mission is. They know what the job is. But I'm very, very lucky that the team that I've got are just really good. That everybody's very enthusiastic. They can't do enough stuff. They're very innovative. So some of the ideas of improvements to the service that have come in now haven't even come from me. They've come from the guys in the SOC. They're like, oh, why don't we do this? Or even on weekends, they'll be building stuff to see what it's like. And then like, oh, Dave, look what we've done here. This might work. And we build all of that in. So I think as a startup, it can be very chaotic. It's very fast paced. You change direction a lot. Sometimes you go down, you have an idea and you think, oh, this would be really good. And then you go down, you start building it. And as you get halfway down that rabbit hole, you're like, no, actually, this won't work, or it's going to be too time consuming. So you move back. So I think you've got to have a team who can handle that. And you've got to have a team who like that fast paced, innovative environment. And I'm just very, very lucky that that's exactly what we've got at Aruga.
That's really impressive. And something that Jay and myself often speak with leaders about at the moment is AI and automation. And there's a growing fear that it's going to replace a number of roles. Nothing more prevalent at the moment than entry-level jobs. So I'm curious to gain your perspective on that. Is AI and automation going to remove entry-level cyber jobs?
I get asked this question a lot. I actually did a webinar not long ago, a few months ago, like a live webinar, and someone asked me that direct question, because I was telling them about Aruga and look what we've done, the automation, the AI, and they were like, this all sounds great, but do you not feel bad that you could be getting rid of these entry-level jobs? And I was like, you're thinking about it the complete wrong way. You've got to be innovative, you've got to move with the times, you've got to use the tech to its full advantage. That doesn't mean that we're getting rid of someone's job. I mean, we've got guys in the SOC now who, because of the way we've built stuff, they don't have to be sat in there doing manual, repetitive, boring tasks. Like traditionally, SOCs are very, very high turnover, especially at the level 1, level 2 analyst role. Don't need that anymore. So we can get entry-level people who are coming in straight into engineering jobs. They're doing better things. They're learning more. I think that AI enhances the job as well. It's never been easier to do stuff now. If you've got a good idea, you can work with AI and you can define what you want to do. So I think it's enhancing the jobs. It's not getting rid of them, and it's giving people better opportunity. We can also, because all that traditional manual stuff has gone now, and we're using the AI and automation to handle that, we can concentrate on other things. So as well as upskilling the team, getting them certifications, we can do active threat hunting on a customer's environment. The guys never would be exposed to that at their level traditionally. So I think it's a good thing. And people who say it's getting rid of entry-level jobs are just thinking about it the wrong way. For me, it's creating opportunity, and you're not going to stop it, so you might as well roll with it.
So, David, taking that on board, what actually defines a high-performing modern SOC team structure now?
Yeah, so traditionally, what I've found, especially in bigger security operations centers, so I think maybe of managed service providers and things like that, the SOC has been very siloed. So you might get someone who's worked in a SOC before, and then they've got 4 years experience, but they only know one thing, so they've only been exposed to one thing. So I think with the way technology is changing things now, I think for a high-performing SOC, you definitely need that collaborativeness, cross-functional support between teams, get people involved in a little bit of everything. You still need your specialist roles like incident responders and threat hunters and all of that kind of stuff, but I think don't be as siloed. We've already discussed tools and technology quite a lot, but that's obviously fundamental to a security operations center. So use the tech to the best of its advantage. We've already mentioned about the lack of containment within security operations and things like that. Use the SOAR platform, build an automation engine, use AI to speed things up, do the behavioral analytics. It's only through tools like that you can spot things faster and quicker. You can use machine learning and behavioral analytics to set a baseline of what normal looks like on a network. So as soon as something happens outside of that, it alerts you. That would take forever for humans to find that and to go hunting for that. You still need a lot of processes. A SOC is obviously there to find stuff, but what are you going to do when you do find stuff? So everything we do at Aruga in terms of our detection and all of that, I'm very, very on it with the guys, and the guys are on it as well. Of everything we find needs an outcome. So what's going to happen? When I've worked with public sector in the past, obviously they want a full 24/7 SOC, but what's going to happen at 1 a.m? Who are we going to? If something big happens, who are we going to speak to? Because those guys don't work 24/7. So you can use the technology to get around things like that. Continuous improvement is probably the biggest thing, and I say this a lot within our SOC and when I'm speaking to our customers. Like, a SOC is never a finished project. A customer doesn't come to us and we scope out the service and deploy everything and turn it on and then that's it, job's done, I'll see you in 3 years when you're up for your renewal. It's a process of continuous improvement, and it has to be. The customer will be using new tech. Users will be doing different things. They've got new staff. The business is changing direction. So you constantly need to be on that. You need to be tuning constantly. The customer should be able to see, as they're consuming the service, how things are improving. False positive rates should be going down. Response time should be faster. All of that kind of stuff. So I think it's to answer the question, it's a combination of things. So it is the team structure and how you operate as a team, but it's also using the technology to its full potential, really.
Appreciate you sharing. And how do you feel cybersecurity leaders can better prepare and invest in the next generation of talent?
Just give people the time. I'm very, very passionate about this, and in SOCs that I've worked in previously, I've always been very open to giving people work experience and getting graduates in and then showing them the ropes, because they're the newer generation. And cybersecurity is such a weird industry, and the fact that it's very, very small, even though it's such a big profession. So everybody kind of knows everybody, really. So you never know when you're going to end up working with people again. So I think give people opportunity, let people try and fail. Like the way you learn is by failing. I mean, I've done it hundreds of times through my career. So there's that. And yeah, just giving people opportunity, I suppose, that the qualifications that they need. Like, we're very open and honest with our guys at Aruga about the way the company's going, how we want people to operate, what the job is we want them to do. And that's great. Like, I never want to be a manager where I'm like, I'm in charge, this is what everybody's doing. It's not like that. We're an absolute team, and that works. And the customers can see that as well, which is great. We often get that feedback, and people want, every customer you ever speak to about onboarding them into a managed service, they always say, we want you to be a true extension of our team. And we genuinely are that because of the way we operate.
Yeah. Let me certainly see that. Myself and Jay met you and some of the team members, I think it was last month, in Manchester, and those in the crowd that we have conversations with have some very positive things to say about the work that you're doing and your approach. So we certainly commend you and the team on that. Now, going back to obviously your time in the military services, a lot of our audience and our community members have transitioned from public sector or even from military space into the private sector domain. So curious to gain your perspective and your experience in terms of the biggest challenges that veterans face when they're trying to transition from the forces into cybersecurity, for instance.
Yeah, so this is it might be hard to explain this because you can only really describe what it's like if you've done it. It's like, you might, like, people who are listening to this who've never been in the military or whatever might think it's just, but you're just getting another job. But it's not. Like, the military literally is your life. Like, you're doing it 24/7. You're always on call, and you're going away for long periods of time. And you can get very institutionalized in it. Like, I remember when I was in, like, I did just over 10 years, and sometimes, like, halfway through the career, if I was like, oh, maybe I'm not enjoying this anymore, I'd be like, yeah, but what am I going to do? How am I going to get a job? What would I be like out in civilian life? Like, I don't know how to do that. It's really weird. So it can be difficult for people to transition. But what I would say is there's loads of support out there. Like, if you do it right, I mean, I'm where I am today, definitely because of my time in the Navy. Even like business opportunities or going for jobs and interviews and stuff, as soon as they see you're a submariner, everyone's like, wow, we've never met a submariner before. Like, you take them through that. Like, people love it. And it definitely instills values in you in, like, work ethic and all that kind of stuff we've talked about previously. So I think you just need to know what you want to do and then just go and get it, but have a plan. So there's lots of monetary support from the military. So I've done some high value certifications that have been paid by the military, even years after I'd left. So they do look after you. You've just got to know what you want to do and how you're going to get there. So I've done quite a bit of mentoring with guys who are in the military currently who want to leave, and I've helped them with that process. And the reason why I do that it's just because I know what it's like. I know how hard it can be. So I help them with kind of understanding exactly what it is they want to do. I mean, the amount of times I've had people coming to me saying, oh, I want to be working cybersecurity. I'm like, okay, but what part? Cybersecurity really is the profession of professions. It's a massive umbrella term that's got hundreds of different jobs underneath it. Some of them very technical, some of them not so technical. Like, what is it you want to do? And I've helped some of those guys with understanding that bit, but then once they understand what they want to do, I'm like, okay, this is how you need to get there. These are the certifications you need to do. And I've helped them to pass those exams, helps them with writing the CVs, helps them with interview techniques. I mean, I've done loads of interviews over the years and I've interviewed loads of people, so I can really help them understand that. And some of those guys now have got really, really good jobs, which is amazing to see.
And why is mentorship particularly, say, rewarding for you?
I'm trying to think of a response to that. That doesn't sound dead cheesy or staged. I just like it. I'm quite a people person. And like, again, this could be because of my time in the military. Like, I'm very team orientated and teamwork focused. And I also know what it's like. Like, I've been in the military. I know what it's like to come out. It's really isn't as easy as just getting a new job. And there's something really rewarding. I mean, a guy that I worked with, he was in the Royal Marines. He'd never done anything within tech, IT or cyber before. He's now a pen tester. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it just shows that you can put your mind to anything. You can do it. And I think that's also why I'm a big advocate for employing people in the military, because of that example there. Like, you give someone who's been in the military a job and they'll just go and get it done. And that's exactly what you want.
And is there anything else you want to say directly to potential hiring managers that are considering applicants that are coming from a military background or public sector background?
Yeah, I would say definitely give them the opportunity. Sometimes when I've worked with these guys during the mentorship, they don't understand the qualities that they've got, and you have to do a bit of an exercise with them. I mean, I've done it for a police officer as well recently who wanted to leave the police and wanted to get into cyber, and they were like, oh, I've got absolutely no experience. And I was like, are you joking? Look at all these things you're doing as a police officer. They are directly transferable skills. They're just phrased in a different way. Like the way you're dealing with people, customers, high pressure, do you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff, constant training. Just give them an opportunity and have a real look at the qualities that they've got and how that could fit your business, because every veteran I've worked with pretty much since leaving the military has always done really, really well for themselves.
And taking a look at the future of cyber, what cyber threats or maybe blind spots do you think are being underestimated by many organisations out there at the moment?
There's never been a period in time where technology is moving so fast as it is now, and I think that is only going to carry on. So I think you've really got to stay up to date with what it is that you're trying to protect and what your risks are. I mean, I've worked with businesses before who are like, yeah, we want a security operations center. I'm like, okay, but what data do you have? Have you classified any of that data? They haven't got a clue. They don't even know what technology they're using and stuff. So I think we could go into like how AI is changing cybersecurity and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's important and it is happening. But a lot of organizations are still getting the basics wrong. Like identity stuff, passwords, not having MFA on, not doing your updates. Like when I talk about that now, it sounds like so basic because I've been in cybersecurity for a while, but people are still getting that wrong. And that is how you will become the victim of a cyber attack, and quite easily as well. So I think even though technology is moving fast, you still need to get the basics right.
Absolutely. And what's on the horizon for Aruga? What's going on now? What are you getting excited about in terms of what's coming up? And is there any chance you can give us again maybe a sneak peek into any developments or upcoming projects that you've got on again?
Yeah, so things are moving very, very quickly for us, which is great. That's how I really want things to go. But I think for us now, we spent the last 12 months obviously building our products at the start. We onboarded our first customers in June last year. We've now got quite a few customers, which is brilliant. We've had really good feedback on the service that we're delivering. And people genuinely like it. It's genuinely a good service. So now we've got that validation. We've seen it in action. We know it's working. It's really time to grow on that now. And continuous improvement is massive for me. Like we are always improving. We're always changing stuff. So the things that are going to be happening shortly are something that sounds so basic, right? So we shout about how we're using AI and automation and how good our tech is and all of that, but with the way we scope out a service, we want that to be the same. That's the first thing a customer will see of us. If they say, yeah, we've done a demo and they're like, yeah, I really want to have a quote for that or a proposal for that, the way we scope it out is going to follow the same suit as we deliver the service. So we've just launched our portal. which we've built ourselves. It's not like an off-the-shelf thing where customers will log in. It's very, very interactive. It will ask them questions about their environment, and it kind of flows down with next questions, and then that allows us to give them a proposal. So that's great. Mentioned earlier that we've built an app for our real-time reporting. We've now made massive enhancements to that. So that's very, very interactive. That's going to be launching soon, which is great. And then I think it's just keep doing what we're doing. Like, people know who we are now. People are giving us really good feedback. We've got good case studies. So now it's time to just keep at it, get bigger customers, go bigger, go faster. That's really what we're about.
And David, if you don't mind me asking, are you willing to sort of rejoin us in the coming weeks and months, perhaps on a live stream to demo your new product and solution with some members?
Absolutely, yeah, that would be really, really good. I think as the founder of a business that's in cybersecurity, but more particularly managed SOC, which is such a saturated market, and there's loads of people shouting about it, and there's loads of noise, it's really hard to get your voice heard. And I don't want to waste money on sales and marketing and all of that kind of stuff, because we'd have to spend a fortune on it. What has been great for me is as soon as I get someone on a call and they see the platform in action, and I walk them through it, and I give a live demo, we show stuff being contained and how interactive it is, the feedback has always been really, really good. So if there's an opportunity to do that, absolutely, I'd bite your hand off.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
If you could leave maybe one message for business leaders who are trying to rethink their security operations and are listening to this podcast, what would it be?
Contact sales@arugacyber.com. No, I'm joking there, obviously. I think you need to start with the basics. So there's lots of flashy toys out there and tools, and like people saying it's the next big thing or whatever, but you really need to understand exactly what it is that you want. Sometimes you can go down the path of having tools for tools' sake, and then once you've bought all of these different tools, there's a lot of overlap, and you're not getting the best level of protection. You don't even know what data you've got or what tech you've got or what your threats are. So we talked about threat intelligence before. We do lots of profiling with our customers. Like, we will know based on industry who the attack groups are that are more likely to go after them, what those tactics and techniques are, so we can really tailor the service for those. So I think it's understand what you've got, understand what your risks are, so doing risk assessments and all of that. And then once you've got all of that information, that's where you can start to think, okay, I need to buy this tool, or maybe I need to outsource this. You just need to understand what it is that you've got and what you want before you do that, because otherwise it can get very expensive and it's not really doing much.
So we're growing online risks. We know a lot of, and we spoke about again this with many different guests, and we feel it's a really important topic that we want to talk about more and more in every episode as much as we can. We know it's crucial for teachers and parents to help children develop those positive digital habits and really understand strong cyber hygiene. In terms of your own views, what do you think are the most important cyber hygiene practices that teachers, parents should be teaching children from an early age to help build that sort of positive online mentality?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's such a broad topic because tech is everywhere now, isn't it? And I was saying to Warren at the start of the call before we started the podcast, like, I don't think there'll ever be a point in time like there is now where the gap between parents' knowledge and the children's knowledge is so big. Like, do you know what I mean? Because technology is moving that fast. Kids are using it all the time now. And you can go into things like strong passwords, your privacy settings and all of that, and absolutely that's massively important. But there's other things that you should really think about that aren't as obvious, or especially working in cybersecurity, you wouldn't necessarily think of, like cyberbullying, for example, that kind of stuff. There's examples of where kids are being groomed online to commit cybercrime. So child's playing on the PlayStation, online game, someone's daring them to do something, they do it, then they take it a step further, and there's like, this is an actual thing. I've been to a few talks which discuss this, where like the Met Police and people are getting involved and watching children from a young age who might be a victim of that to stop that from happening. So there's all kinds of stuff like that. I think oversharing as well, like sharing your location, sharing like what school you're going to and where you're going and all of that kind of stuff. Kids don't think like adults do because they've not got the experience. Like, we know what the risks are. I think trying to help the kids understand that. But one thing that I would say is, if you start imposing all of these kind of restrictions on children and saying you must do this, you must do that, and you're making it hard for them, like, kids are very inquisitive. They will just find a way around it. So I think you need to work with them. You need to help them to understand it. Like, children will see it as a challenge. I mean, I'm one of those guys, or I was when I was in school. So I think you just need to help them to understand why you're saying what you're saying, and like show them examples of how things can go wrong, and they definitely do go wrong. We've all seen that.
Absolutely. And do you think there's any particular way that, from suggestions that they may be able to, you've talked about being groomed for cyber criminality, but how do you think we could spark young children's interest in inspiring them to pursue, a career within cyber, for example?
Again, I don't think there's ever been a better time for it. Like, cybersecurity is, as I said earlier, it's the profession of professions. There's so many industries you can go down, and it all relates to kind of everything that kids are doing now. So online gaming, like that's a brilliant way to spark the interest in kids. Robotics and IoT, that kind of stuff, like everybody's got Alexa and that kind of thing, like that's only going to keep progressing. So I think all of that will spark interest in children. Obviously got AI, everybody's using that now. I mean, I was saying to my partner the other day, I was like, do you reckon there'll ever be a point in time where you don't have teachers anymore? Because imagine you could be in a classroom and you could have an AI agent that is delivering education to a child, but perfectly tailored to their way of thinking. And do you know what I mean? Imagine like how effective that would be. So there's all these kind of things that people are using now. So I don't think there's ever been a better time for people to have sparked an interest in cybersecurity and start good careers, because it's not going to go away anywhere. We mentioned about entry-level jobs and stuff, but cybersecurity is always going to be a thing. There's always going to be jobs out there. So yeah, I don't think there's ever a better time.
That's brilliant. And could David, do you mind sharing with us 3 pros and 3 cons of working within cybersecurity?
Pros would be high demand. So we just said cybersecurity is not going anywhere. There's always going to be jobs for it. Particularly over previous years, salaries have been really good in cybersecurity. I think that's changing a little bit now, but it's still very, very good compared to other industries. And it's something that never stops. Like, you can never know cybersecurity. Anybody who says they know it is lying, because you can't possibly know everything. It's constantly changing. You've constantly got to adapt. So if you like that kind of way of thinking, then it's the perfect industry for you. In terms of cons, probably can use the same one. It's constantly changing. So you've got to be constantly, you've got to be upskilling, you've got to be refining your skills all the time. It can be very high pressure, depending on what industry you're in, instant response and all that kind of stuff. You're dealing with people who are in a state of panic. There's a lot of money on the line. Businesses can go bust. And I suppose tying in with that is it can be very long hours sometimes. Like if there's a cyber incident, you don't just get to clock off at 5. You've got to stay there until it gets done. Some people like that, some don't.
I appreciate you sharing. And for those individuals that are breaking into the industry, as well as those that are looking to progress into leadership positions, what one skill or mindset shift will set them apart and help to accelerate their career, in your opinion, David?
I think for someone who wants a career in cybersecurity, I definitely think it is enthusiasm. Like, if you've got the enthusiasm, if you're keen, if you really want to learn, then you're going to have a very successful career, because cybersecurity is that kind of industry where you've got to have that mindset. You've got to be putting the effort in. Like, you can't just you won't just go to work and learn things on the job 9 to 5. Like, you have to be doing stuff outside of work in terms of self-study and all of that to get your certifications. But if you're that kind of person and you're really willing to put the effort in, then you should have a great career.
So, look, thank you. It's certainly been fascinating listening to the background and, of course, more importantly, the plans you've got for Aruga. Just to finish things off a little bit, so just tell us, what's the mission? What's the vision now going forward?
So the vision is kind of where Aruga started from, and that genuinely is to improve and change the way secure operations are being delivered. All of that stuff we've talked about today, about using the tech to its full potential and how you should be containing stuff and delivering stuff to the customers, we have built that at Aruga. That is exactly what our mission is. We want to take all the smoke and mirrors out of the managed cybersecurity services industry. We want to deliver the best service we can to our customers, but we want to do it by being very open and very honest and transparent, and that's exactly what we're doing. So, yeah, more of that.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here. Aruga Cyber, definitely one to watch. So for any of our listeners who want to stay connected to beyond this episode, where else can they reach out to you, apart from LinkedIn, of course?
Yeah, so obviously LinkedIn is the main one, but you can go to our website, arugacyber.com. There's an interactive demo on there, so you can kind of see how things are delivered within Microsoft Teams. And there's a contact form on there if you want us to get back to you, or you can just reach out to me directly.
Well, David, thank you. It's been great to hear your background and your stories. I'm sure all of our listeners will have found a great deal of interest and value in today's episode. If people want to continue the discussion for more sustained engagement, we invite you to join the Secure CyberConnect community, where we're offering a range of collaborative solutions for both technology and security professionals at no cost. Thank you very much, everybody.
If you're struggling with technological, cultural, or talent acquisition challenges, please reach out to the Secure CyberConnect team, where we offer advice and guidance and are here to help.